This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Isa Abu Isa. We're here on another episode of the Night Shift, and this program has been established to cleanse and to defend Islam from cult characteristics, Haddadiyya, Hizbiyya, and to protect the honor of the Muslims.
طيب. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Alhamdulillah, Allahu Jalla wa Ala has allowed us to reach this blessed night of the Eid, and we coming up on Ayyam wa Tashriq, the days of Tashriq, which is the days of joy and celebration. Bi-idhnillah, for those who are preparing, inshallah ta'ala, to perform the salat for the Eid. Alhamdulillah, we do not want to busy people away from that, but we do want to stick to our words, and we want to be straightforward. So inshallah ta'ala, alhamdulillah, Eid Mubarak. We want to continue with the statements of the ulama in terms of the talk that we gave last night pertaining to the response of Hassan Somali. And we have quoted over the statements about 6 or 7 scholars. We quoted the words of Sheikh Ahmed al-Najmi, rahmatullah alayh, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, hafidhullah, Sheikh Rabi' hafidhullah, Sheikh Salim Burgess, rahmatullah alayh, Sheikh Zayd al-Makli, rahmatullah alayh, Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas, rahmatullah alayh, Sheikh Ubaid, hafidhullah. That's about 7 scholars, no?
Sheikh Wasabi.
Yeah, Sheikh Wasabi, we mentioned him. Now, we're going to complete the last 3 statements, inshallah ta'ala, of the 3 different scholars, and pay attention, inshallah, brothers and sisters, because Hassan Somali, in his response, he could made the mistake to make us think that anyone can refute. And what we mean by refute, we're talking about jarh wa ta'dil, and we're also talking about placing hukms, rulings on individuals, organizations, or societies, or masajids, or communities. And we know from the previous statements of the 7 scholars that we mentioned that they are all of the agreement that the student of knowledge, as well as the layperson, it is not their field nor is their area of expertise, that they should be refuting, nor should they be entering into the arena of jarh wa ta'dil, and nor should they deal with the issue of placing rulings.
No.
طيب. So before we begin, inshallah ta'ala, I want to mention something that is very important, inshallah. And that is, first and foremost, you brothers all heard on the 30, if y'all didn't listen to it, the 30-minute response of our brother with the challenge of, let's go and sit in front of the ulama and let them tahakam, judge between us. And he mentioned that the scholars that we mentioned on a daily basis, such as Sheikh Ubaid, Sheikh Rabi', Sheikh Muhammad al-Hadi, and Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari, let's go and sit in front of those scholars, and we would even pay your plane ticket to go visit these scholars. I want to bring something to everyone's attention. First and foremost, our brother Hassan Somali is not being truthful in his statement. Why is I'm saying this? Because if you ask, most of you are in respective communities, if you ask some of the students in your area about the relationship and about the relationship of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hadi with Hassan Somali, then it is incumbent upon them not to lie to you, but to tell you that the relationship between Sheikh Muhammad al-Hadi and Hassan Somali right now as it stands is that the Sheikh has been trying to contact and get in contact with Hassan Somali over the past 3 years or so. And Hassan Somali have not responded or picked up his phone calls. Also, the Sheikh, inshallah ta'ala, have also told Hassan Somali that he cannot teach the book, as we have it on good authority. And Mustafa, the young brother who's up there now with him, he can testify to this, or you can contact the Sheikh yourself, that he remembered them telling them that they mentioned that they teach from the books that they teach here in the West, in Germantown Masjid, is Sunnah Nabawiyah. They teach the book Sharh Sunnah. And the Sheikh told, and Mustafa can bear witness to this, and there's other brothers who can bear witness to this, and Hassan Somali himself, the Sheikh told him to leave off this book. So we can't take Hassan Somali's statement about going to go see Sheikh Muhammad Hadi truthful. Let's put that to the side. Now, as it's pertaining to going to go see Sheikh Rabi' Hafidhullah, who was an elder, and may Allah Jalla wa Ala preserve his health, and going to go see Sheikh Ubaid, and going to go see Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari, then we say to Hassan Somali that we are willing to go sit in front of any neutral scholar. And I know many people are going to say, why not go see those scholars? Why are willing to sit in front of those scholars? Because we are acting off the advice of Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili. Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili said, when you have a dispute between two groups of people, it is good to go back to a neutral scholar who doesn't have any way or sway with anyone. For example, one group of people favor this scholar. Another group of people might favor this scholar. So it's good to go to a third scholar who is neutral of both sides so they can look at it, inshallah. So that's what we say. If you want to go see the legend of Da'ima, then we all for it. You know, if you want to go see Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidhullah, or Sheikh Salih Ali Sheikh, or the Grand Mufti, we all for it. We will sit down and we'll sit in front of the scholars, inshallah.
Nah. And also, I'm gonna pull back because I don't want nobody getting nervous. But I'm going to say this, but I'm going to pull back because I've been advised to pull it back some. I'm not going to pull back, but I am going to say this in general. I'm not going to mention names or specific scenarios. But I want to say tonight to our people, man, before we get started, before we get into the academic parts of it, is that we have to firstly unite upon the truth. And we have shared scenarios, we have shared consequences, or we have shared life traumas and tragic situations in our lives. Me and his brother, me, you, and everybody else that's in the city that grew up in these particular neighborhoods. And the Prophet ﷺ, he made it clear that fighting a Muslim is kufr, is disbelief. And we know that it's kufr amali, kufr disbelief in actions. It looks like the act of a disbeliever. And also the one who kills a Muslim on purpose, he's in the hellfire forever. So we want to tell our brothers today, and our brothers out there in the street, our brothers who may be listening, it's not worth it to go into blows over this particular issue because it's not necessarily your fight. And this doesn't have to be a war where people's blood is shed. This is just people asking for evidence. This is people asking for proof. This is people because we have jealousy for our religion. And we don't think anybody has the right to come into our religion and tell us what's something that we don't accept, and we don't have the right to defend it or say, okay, show your proof. So it doesn't have to get to that type of situation. And the people that are, maybe pulling your strings or behind the scenes and things like that, just remember, these individuals don't even have one relative buried in our graveyard. These individuals don't have one relative in our graveyards. Not one. We shared that. We have relatives buried in these graveyards. Some murdered, some OD'd, some died of old age. We've been all types of things we all been through together as a shared consciousness, as a shared traumas and tragic events in our lives. And most of these people who are now pulling our strings from different lands and different places and things like that, they haven't been through the broken homes. They haven't seen their mothers prostituting. I've seen my mother do that, and there's a lot of other brothers. Which one of your brothers can't say right now that you can't relate to what I'm saying to you? You can't relate to that. You can't relate to seeing your parents do drugs, or your father stealing your television, or your father doing this, or your father probably not being around at all, being murdered before you was born. How many of us can't relate to that? So at the same time, we have to realize that this is our home. This is our city. It belongs to us. Either we're going to tear it down together, or we're going to build it together. And we shouldn't let nobody come between us and cause bloodshed. And somebody wants to come and do this to you or say that about you, put harm on you. Or for what? What's the rebel without a cause mentality? At the end of the day, these people are going to leave and go back to where they come from. They're going to leave you holding the bag and doing time. And you're going to have to stand in front of the law to shedding the blood of a Muslim. And we're trying to avoid that. So all you brothers in the street and all you brothers out there right now, don't let nobody fool you. Because these guys, they chaplains, they this, they that. These are police officers in reality. And they're going to tell on you in the end. You do something crazy, they're just going to go to their bosses and free themselves of you. And brother, you're going to end up in jail and in prison. And for what? We have families, we have kids, we have wives to go home to. So we need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Nah, mashallah, just in a nutshell, the most academic way to put that, don't be easily influenced. And I hope that inshallah ta'ala, from what we've seen and witnessed, the night shift has, inshallah ta'ala, has been getting a lot of positive responses, and a lot of people are seeming to wake up. People already been awoke for a long time, and alhamdulillah, it seems to be influencing them to remove the yoke. And it's easy to be according to what we call shaksiyah, personality worshiping. And being affected by personality worship. So we can be swayed either way. And I understand how that is. And also in terms of taqleed, blind following, and all of these things. So we have to make sure that we don't be influenced like that.
No,
Somali, in his 30-minute clip, he mentioned a very important basis or thing that he, let's say for example, that he used to support his argument was the words of Sheikh Rabi' and his explanation. I want to use that same Sheikh right now, and I'm going to summarize his words here. He was asked a particular question about, is it conditioned for one to place tabdi', to declare someone an innovator, whoever falls into an act of innovation, or if the one, or to declare someone to be an innovator if the evidence is established upon him, in order, or do the evidence need to be established upon him in order to be able to, first, in order to stipulate that he's an innovator. Tayyib, I'm going to summarize this. First and foremost, the Shaykh, he mentioned that after praising Allah Jalla wa Ala and saying salutation upon the Prophet ﷺ, he said that what is famously known from the people of Ahlul Sunnah is that those who falls into kufr, disbelief, then you cannot declare them to be a disbeliever unless the evidence is established against them. This is talking about people who also, I need y'all to pay attention to this because this is very important. And this is what Somali felt when he explained the Sheikh words. He failed to understand these points, and that's why it's very important, brothers and sisters, that we cannot just take everybody's words, even if they're imam, even if they're someone who got a famous name, even if they're known to give a lot of lectures, even if they're known to give a lot of khutbahs or khutbah. We can't just take their words for it. We have to make sure they understand what they're talking about. The Sheikh saying that you cannot declare someone to be a disbeliever unless the evidence is established against him. First and foremost, keep in mind, we're talking about the one who what? His asl, his origin is not disbelief. If he's a disbeliever aslan, you don't need to establish a hukm on a person being a Christian. If a person's a Christian aslan, he's a kafir. If a person is a Jew aslan, he's a kafir. You don't need to establish proof that he's a kafir, that he's a disbeliever. That's already clear. Tayyib. Now, secondly, the Shaykh goes on. He said, Akismu awwal. He said the first, as it pertains to bid'ah, declaring someone an innovator, then this is of different types. Okay, the first type is the people of bid'ah. Who are the people of bid'ah, brothers and sisters? I mean, many of you can answer this question. This is Somali failed to realize. He answered his question that I believe was doctored. I'm not saying I got proof, but I just believe that it was doctored and loaded. And when he responded to the question, he had all of his proofs and evidence. But what he said was, he led the people to think that anybody can refute. And he was only talking about one group of people. When we wasn't talking about that. We was talking about Jahra Ta'dil, placing rulings. And we was talking about making your own refutations, which is what? It's not scholarly looked over. Tayyib. Sheikh said the first class of people are Ahlul Bidah. All of us can agree with this. Like the Rafida, the Khawarij, the Jahmiyyah, the Mu'tazilite, the Sufis, the Qadariyah, the Murji'ah, and anyone similar to them. We don't need to establish evidence that these individuals are what? From people of Bid'ah. It's already known clear that they are from the people of Bid'ah. So we don't need to say, let me call a scholar, because I'm dealing with a Sufi here, and before I call him a Sufi, I have to call a scholar and contact him.
Exactly.
This is not what we talk about. Me, Isa, everyone agrees with this. The people who are a part of these things that have already been laid out from the people of Bid'ah, that's clear. The second category now, pay attention. The Sheikh said the second category is from the people of Ahlus Sunnah. This is where we're getting at, huh? The second category is the people of Ahlus Sunnah. Those who have felt into a clear innovation. But guess what type of innovation? The innovation that falls from the usul of the Salaf. Those key fundamental principles. Like saying the Quran is created, like the Sheikh said here. Like saying that the Quran is created. Falling into those things. Like saying that Allah Jalla wa Ala have not risen above his throne. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he conquered the throne. Believing these type of statements. Changing his sifat and so forth. Or denying some of his sifat. or only relying or restricting that his attributes are this, so forth and so on. Then this person who's also is Ahlul Sunnah, and he falls into an apparent bid'ah that falls into the usul, pay attention, he falls into the usul, then this individual himself, the Shaykh has said, that is nothing wrong. He said, فَهَذَا يُبَدِّئُ وَعَلَيْهِ عَمَلُ السَّلَفِ. This individual, you can point out the fact that he felt into an act of innovation. This is from the action of the Salaf. If he felt into it, and he brings the statement of an Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, حين سئل عن القدرية, when he was asked about the Qadariyah, he said, فَإِذَا لَكِيتُ أُولَٰئِكَ فَأَكْبَرُهُمْ أَنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْهُمْ وَأَنَّهُمْ بَرَاءٌ مِّنِّي. رواه Muslim. He said, if you meet these individuals, those individuals, meaning the Qadariyah, then inform them that, those who deny the Qadr, that I am free from them and they are free from me. This is collected by Muslim. So these individuals, you can free yourself from that act because they have felt into something that is clear into the usul. This is, again, Somali don't understand these principles. Brothers and sisters, it's clear because from his words, if you don't understand these principles, he would have made the classification. He would have made that have to be explained. When you're talking about refuting somebody, who can you refute? Is it the first class of people of bid'ah? Yes, we can refute them. Is it the people who also is from Ahlul Sunnah? Okay, that falls into two types. As Sheikh Rabi is saying here, you got the people from Ahlul Sunnah who makes a clear bid'ah in the usul. They are dealt with a certain way. The third one.
You refute the church and the synagogue and all of that. You can refute that because they already been established.
Yeah, but we talking about people who from Ahlul Sunnah now. That's just the regular kuffar. You don't need to establish a dalil against
Exactly.
them. All right? He said, as for the third one, then that is the people, again, the third one, the third category, he said, that is the people who are from Ahlul Sunnah, but the bid'ah that they felt into is a bid'ah, he called it khifa or mukhaffa, is a light bid'ah, innovation. What does that mean? Meaning bid'ah mufassiqa. It is the bid'ah that does not take them out of the fold of Islam. It is an innovation that if they felt into, we refute the act, but not the person we do not declare to be a what? An innovator. This is what Somali felt to bring out, brothers and sisters, and we had to make that point because when you're talking about these intricate things like this, you can't just go over them. It ain't no flowery words you can say when you're talking about stuff that's intricate like this. It have the wabit.
There's somebody's honor. Somebody's here after all of that stuff.
Tayyib. Now we're going to move on to the statement of Sheikh Abdullah al-Masna'i, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, and our brother Isa, Abu Isa, is going to begin his words, inshallah.
It says, basically the Sheikh, he said, قال أبو عبد الله المصنعي في رسالة بعنوان إقامة الحجة.
For those who don't know who the Sheikh is the author, well, the Sheikh is the explainer. He got two explanations to the book by Sheikh Muhammad al-Wahhab al-Wasabi, the famous book known as Qawl al-Mufid fi Adilat al-Tawheed, the beneficial statement and the concerning the evidence of at-Tawheed. He have two explanations. He have a small one and he have a big one. Riot Market, Riwayat Publishing has put out a translation of the bigger version, I believe. Allahu A'lam.
And he says the name of the book is basically, he says, the mistake in mixing backbiting as being jar wa ta'dil. Backbiting as being jar wa ta'dil. علم الجرح والتعديل من أهم علوم وأعظمها خطرا. He said that this jarh wa ta'dil, this science, is from the most important of science and the greatest of it, but it's also from what? The most dangerous of sciences. He says لا ولا يقدر على قيام به على وجه الصحيح إلا جابذ نقاط ومن تتبع سيرة العلم والتعديل. He says, and no one really has to do it way that is correct, except those ulama jarh wa ta'dil. أراهم خير من خيرة الناس في علمهم ودينهم ورعهم ونبل غاياتهم. And he says they who are what? They're being upright individuals, their knowledge, their religion, and also their taqwa and their righteousness and noble goals when they do it. The thing is having noble goals, meaning they don't want the destruction of society. They don't want the destruction. They're doing for nasihah. As Sheikh Salih Hassan said, it's from the bab of what? Advice. They want the person to leave the mistake, not grind them into where there's nothing left, then everybody hates them. That's not the goal of Jahl wa Ta'dil. It's not the goal of Jahl. As Sheikh Abdullah Masni is saying, they have
So, for example, it's not the goal to take snippets of people's words and then say, let's refute that. They have made a whole spear campaign against a lot of the brothers that you see back and forth on Twitter. And this had been their usloob, their manner and style of way. Because this is what happened, brothers and sisters. Say, for example, you're privy to sit and you hear that Sheikh Fawzan, he's always going into Aqidah. And he deals with creed and he deals with this. And he's one of the leading scholars of today. So you take it upon yourself that every time you make Hajj or Umrah, you're going to go visit the Sheikh. You're going to sip coffee with the Sheikh, kiss the Sheikh on his forehead. And you're going to sit with the Sheikh for a couple of days or so. Right? You're going to call the Sheikh. You're going to make sure that you always go over the Sheikh works. What happened is you start to believe that you are literally the student of the Sheikh. So then you start to try to imitate the Sheikh, but you don't have the qualifications nor the skill set of the Sheikh. This is what happened with Sheikh Rabia, brothers and sisters, with the brothers. They believe that in their mind, they have the skill set that Sheikh Rabia has as being a naqid. So they said to themselves, I don't got to go back to the Sheikh on everything now. I understand the Sheikh principles. I'm the Sheikh student, so when I see stuff, I detect it, I go out it, and I smash it out. And what happened is when they started doing that, you can see the problems. This is why he's saying, no, you have to make sure you are known for that. Meaning you are qualified and skilled for that. It's important to understand what we're dealing with. Go ahead, Father, inshallah.
And he says, so, rahimahumullah ta'ala, he said, لا يزال في كل عصر أئمة أجلاء يقومون بهذا العلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. He said it will not cease to be in every time period honorable, just scholars who will establish this principle and this knowledge. All praise be Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Meaning that again, it's A'imma. This A'imma, not Hassan Somali, not me, not Abu Zayd, not anybody. The A'imma are the ones who establish this science and they implement this science.
So if anyone will come playing words, those who know Arabic, even though we know that the word A'imma is the plural for Imam, he's not talking about the Imam of the masjid. Like Hassan Somali is the Imam of a masjid. He's not talking about one that lead the prayer. He's talking about the Imam who is a Qudwa, who is an example, or the Imam who, for example, who is the Imam like Imam Abu Hanifa, and
Imam Bukhari.
Imam Bukhari and stuff like that. Their works are taken as examples. So don't think that that's what he's saying. طيب. The Sheikh, he said, فَمَنَ الشُّرُوطُ الَّتِي يَنْبَغِي أَن تَتَوَفَّرَ فِي مَنْ يَتَصَطَّرُ لِهَذَا الْعِلْمِ. The Sheikh doesn't stop. Another question was posed to the Sheikh. He said, so what are the conditions? He said, what are the conditions in which it is befitting, okay, يَنْبَغِي, that one must have? What is the condition that one must have? To fulfill فِي مَنْ يَتَصَطَّرُ لِهَذَا الْعِلْمِ. In order to have all of these conditions fulfilled for the one who wants to what? Embark or engage this type of science. Want to emanate from this type of science. He said, الْعِلْمُ التَّامُ بِأَسْبَابُ الْجَهْرِ. First and foremost, they have to have complete knowledge of this science and the reason for the criticism. Let's stop here. Let's weigh all of the brothers in light of this first condition. Do any of the brothers, and that's on all sides, do any of the brothers, that's those we're talking about, those who we're defending, so forth, all of them, which one from amongst them have this first condition? I'll wait. Yes, Somali do not have this first condition. Moving on. The Sheikh, he said, Su'ila حامدون قصار رحمه الله متى يجوز للرجل أن يتكلم على الناس فقال إذا تعين عليه أداء فرد من فرائض الله في علمه أو خاف هلاك الإنسان في بدعته يرجو أن ينجيح الله منها. This is in the book Al-I'tisam. We're going to have our brother Isa, Abu Isa, inshallah ta'ala.
The Sheikh, he's saying that they asked him the question, when is it okay for a man to speak about the people, meaning jah wa ta'dil? He says, when you want to put a specific rule on an individual, first thing you have to have is what's obligatory you have from this in this science, from the knowledge of this science first. Meaning you have to fit all the conditions of being somebody in the beginning to even go into this science and put a ruling on somebody. Right? That's the first thing. And after that, you fear that the people are going to be destroyed by this individual's bid'ah, and you hope to save him and the people from this destruction or this innovation.
You hope to save him. Allahu Akbar. Again, now Somali, when you said that everybody can refute in your 30-minute clip, in your response. So you're telling me that the lay people in yourself fit these conditions here? Are you telling me that the lay people and yourself fit these conditions here? That you have went over this science? First of all, there's other science you got to get to even before you get to this science. But I'm just saying, have you went over this science with anybody?
No.
A couple of doras will not get you at this level. A couple of calls to the sheikh, some telelinks, that won't get you at this level. You know what I mean? Visiting here and there, kissing the sheikh on the forehead, that won't get you at this level. None of that will get you at this level. It takes serious studying to get at this level. Moving on. وقال الذهبي. Oh, yeah.
وقال الذهبي رحمه الله تعالى كلام في رجال لا يجوز إلا تام معرفة وتام ورع. He says that, and this is in the book Mizan, and he says, Imam Dhahabi, he says that speaking about individuals in Jarh wa Ta'dil is not permissible except after what? Complete knowledge of the science, having the necessary righteousness.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. You hear this? Two things. Being a specialist in the field and having the necessary taqwa. Brothers and sisters, is it necessary taqwa? We already know that they're not specialized in this field. We know that none of us are specialized in this field. Is it necessary taqwa now to take the statements of your brothers out of context and then start placing rulings on them? He's such and such. He's this. Stay away from them. Is that necessary taqwa? Is that piety? Is that righteousness? That you take a word like our brother Musa Richardson. He put on Becca.net against Muhammad Munir. And he put on there that Muhammad Munir is a fraudulent hadith disciple who have forsaken the scholars. And he forgot this because the first rule of giving jarh is that he had to do what? What did the sheikh say? The first thing he had to do was he had to have complete knowledge and be asbabul jarh and the reason for his criticism. Also, he forgot the rule of siyaqul. He forgot the rule of siyaqul hukm or siyaq hakam, meaning that he had to judge knowing that the content, seeing the content, the whole content is the judge or the deciding factor in the speech. So I can't take Issa's speech if Issa said, for example,
Allah is everywhere.
Allah is everywhere.
Say if I said
or
that.
he said, I hate these individuals or so forth. I can't take that part without looking at the whole context. What came sabiq before it and what comes after it in order to what? Be able to make sure. Then what I have to do is, before I criticize him, now I have to go back to his earlier works.
Yeah.
I have to see, okay, if that's from Issa behavior, if that's a pattern, does he do this? And then I have to have necessary taqwa. Brothers and sisters, what we've been seeing on Twitter is not piety. It's not taqwa, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And the Shaykh goes on and he says, وقال إمام ذهبي كلام في وراء محتاج إلى ورع تام وبراءة من الهوى وميل وخبر كامل وخبر كاملة. And he says that to speak about the different individuals inside the isnad and things like that, said it is needed what? The necessary righteousness and to be free from desire and have the what? Complete experience. To have experience and is complete.
You gotta be seasoned.
Khubra kamila. He has to be seasoned in this field. Not somebody just running around putting place in tabdi' and takfir and tafsiq and tafsir on people. Where you get this from? When the sheikh said he has to have what? Khubratu kamila.
We could probably stop the video right here.
That's it.
This is drop the mic right here because Somali don't fit none of these conditions. None of them. None of us.
And hawat. Meaning you're not refuting this individual or trying to place this hukum because off your desires because you don't want them to get no followers. We want them out of the way so you can have all the followers. You got to be free of these type of desires. It has to be righteousness, the necessary righteousness.
And that's why your refutations and your responses wouldn't be so sloppy. It wouldn't be so academically poor. It wouldn't be so what? Unscholarly. You would have took the necessary steps before you spoken. Listen to the next point the Sheikh going to say.
He says, فَلَا بُدْ مِنْ عِلْمٍ وَمَعْرِفَةٍ دَقَائِقِ هَذَا الْفَنِّ. He said, it's necessary that you have knowledge and awareness and detailed knowledge of this science. Qala ta'ala. Because if you don't, this is going to happen. You're going to go against this ayat. لا تقف ما ليس لك به علم. Because you may fall into speaking about affairs that you have no knowledge of.
Allah said, do not follow anything you don't have any knowledge of.
Yep.
Brothers and sisters, what does this say to us? Somali. Again, were you telling people, lay people, and yourself that you can just refute without giving any shurut, any conditions? Listen to this. Are you telling people, okay, you min ra'a minkum, whoever seeing evil, you can reform, what did they say? The hadith is this. He was going in. But you failed to mention that you weren't qualified, they weren't qualified, your cohorts aren't qualified, Salafi publications aren't qualified, we aren't qualified, so you shouldn't have been speaking about it at all. There shouldn't be no refutations from you and your cohorts against the people of Ahlul Sunnah if you are not qualified. Now, as far as the first class of people of Bid'ah and Kufr, then it's okay, because the ulama have already spoken about it and established the dalil.
Then he says, another ayah, he says, قُلْ إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ رَبِّي الْفَوَاحِشَ, to the statement saying, your Lord, verily your Lord has made impermissible upon you, or forbidden upon you, fawahisha, open transgression and sin, like fornication and things like that. Then to the end, the shahid is, إِلَّا قَوْلِهِ and تَقُولُ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and that you don't say about Allah what you don't have knowledge of.
This verse in Surah 2 A'raf, brothers and sisters, is an important verse, because Ibn Qayyim got some very beautiful words contained into this verse. And that Allah Jalla wa Ala starts off by mentioning certain things, and he ends the verse with wa an taqulu. So he starts off with the lesser things and he ends it with the bigger things. The most worst thing out of everything that Allah Jalla wa Ala have prohibited for you, right? This is not my words, it's Ibn Qayyim, I'm just paraphrasing it. He said, is that you speak about Allah without any knowledge. This is worse than shirk. Because before Allah mentioned this part, Allah said, وَأَن تَشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا, and that you join or associate partners with Allah with that which you have no authority of. وَأَن تَقُولُوا, and that you say, عَلَى اللَّهِ, that about Allah, مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that which you do not know. So Ibn Qayyim said this verse established that anyone who speaks about the deen of Allah and his messenger, right, meaning the deen of Allah and his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then this is worse than shirk. Listen to the next part, brothers and sisters.
Then he says, أَن يَكُونَ
مِنْ أَهْلِ الْوَرْعِ
مِنْ أَهْلِ الْوَرْعِ وَالتَّقْوَى. He said, and that it's a bonding upon the individual to be from the people who have necessary righteousness and fear of Allah, سَلِيمٍ مِنَ التَّعَصُّبِ تَعَصُّبِ الْأَهْوَاءِ وَالْأَحْزَابِ, and that he is free. And that he is free from having ta'assub, blind following, and holding on to the impermissible blind following of the people of desires and partisanship.
Look at this. He keeps stressing this part about having taqwa. The Prophet ﷺ said, "At-taqwa ha-huna," and he said it 3 times.
No.
At-taqwa ha-huna. He kept pointing at his heart. So that let us know, brothers and sisters, even refutations, you must have taqwa. You gotta fear Allah in everything that you do. You don't want to harm nobody. You don't want nobody to be what? To be destroyed because of what you said or what you done. You got to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. You know.
I mean, and the fact that we know that these 2 things, this having wara' and taqwa, these 2 things maybe be missing because what has happened is ta'assub and ahwa and ahzab. That's what's happening. That's what we see happening. I mean, we see that it's 5 different Salafi, so-called Salafi sects in the city. None of them work with each other. So the only thing that's come from these guys going into this science is ta'assub, and hawa.
I'm going to bring it home. The only thing that happened from these guys not being qualified entering this is where our state of us now, right now. The state of every community that got one of these particular brothers in there who think like them and use their usul, we are in disarray. I challenge you to say that we aren't. I don't want to hear about we got tahfidh class. I don't want to hear about our masjids are renovated. That's outward, decorate. Where's the tasfiyah wa tarabiyah? Where's the tadarruj ilm? Where's the huffaz? Don't tell me about people memorizing a little bit of poetry, a little bit of Quran. Where's the huffaz? Where are your children memorizing Quran? Rapid pace. Where the people in front of us got Quran? Rapid pace. Where is it at? Did you not know that Sheikh Raslan, he brought the statement of the Salaf in his book called Fadl Ilm? He said that it's wajib. And this wajib here, he wasn't talking about wajib in the Sharia. He said that it's wajib from the etiquette of the student of knowledge that the first thing he begins with is hifd the Quran. Is that he memorized the Quran. Don't talk about students. You want to talk about being students? Then there's a certain type of caliber that you have to be willing to go and sacrifice to be a student. Not, I got the Sheikh number. Not, make sure you come through us. Not, we holding the conference. Not, we're setting up this. That's not Talib Ilm. Talib Ilm, you can see it in the effects of the way that they act and they behave. Allahu Akbar. Listen what Sheikh Imam Zahabi said. Imam Zahabi, rahimahullah. Listen what Zahabi said. Rahimahullah. He said, فَإِنْ أَنْسَلْتَ من نفسك فهما وفإن أسنست من نفسك فهما وصدقا ودينا وورعا وإلا فلا تتعن وإن غلب عليك هوى وعصيبة للرأي والمذهب فبالله لا تتعب وإن عرفت أنك مخلط أو مخبط محمل لحدود الله فأرهن منك سبحان الله فبعد قليلا ينكشف البرج. Imam Zahabi rahimahullah in his lofty speech here, he said, فَإِنَّ نَسْتَ مِن نَفْسِكَ فَحْمٍ وَصِدَّقَ وَدِينٍ وَوَرْعًا. He mentioned 4 things that you must possess.
Nah.
And that's first, comprehension. What type of fahm he's talking about here? Fiqh, brothers and sisters. Fiqh of what? Fiqh of that science. Fiqh of the deen. Okay? Sidaqan. You must be truthful. Don't enter this affair if you're not truthful. Okay? Secondly, what did he say? What deenan? You must be mudayyin. Someone who was not religious in the English context, but religious in the deen. He have muru'ah. He have what? He have integrity.
No.
Huh?
He stays away from the things that the society may look down upon. Even if it's not impermissible, the society looks at it as something that's just not good. He stays away from those type that will take away from his manhood.
Brothers and sisters, the reason why a community or anywhere needs a leader, because that leader is supposed to be an example. Whenever you see that the people in front of you teaching you knowledge, they don't inspire you to fear Allah more, something is wrong. They don't inspire you to want to increase to Allah more, something is wrong. Then that might not applying what needs to be applied. This is one of the hikmah of having leadership, because that person is a qudwa, is an example. Have you not heard Allah Jalla wa Ala says what? As not the Prophet وَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, do you not have for you in the Messenger of Allah a beautiful example? وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَكَ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And rather you are an exotic standard character. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظًا. Have you been harsh-hearted with them, they would have broken apart from you. This is the Prophet ﷺ. This is his character. This is why when people wanted to be around him, they what? They gravitate towards him. This is what they done. And this is what the caller, like Sheikh Muhammad Bazmoor or Sheikh Muhammad Manjami, when he mentioned in the Sifatul Da'i, the caller, this is what they supposed to have. If we still struggling to profess that, why are we even talking about this science? Why? If we're still struggling on the etiquette of a student of knowledge, why are we even focusing on the science?
Most of the people in these communities that they're pushing this science down their throats can't even, most of the time, they can't even establish the 5 salat correctly every day. They don't even know how to make wudu. They don't even know how to say Al-Fatiha correctly. I mean, sometimes you hear the people recite Al-Fatiha in these communities, they're changing the whole meaning of the surah for some of the words they're saying. So at the end of the day, you're going right past what's obligatory for them to live their life as a Muslim and go into an issue that has nothing to do with them, they should enter into anyway.
The Shaykh, he said, if he does not have these 4 things in his possession, he don't have these qualities, guess what's going to happen, brothers and sisters? He's going to be overcome with his hawa. Yep. It's going to be replaced with desire. Mm-hmm. His refuting ain't going to be based on taqwa. It's going to be based on desire. I don't like him. I just don't like, he might got more followers than me. I don't, he just might say the Arabic, he pronounced the Arabic more sharper than me. Mm-hmm. He got more memory. I just don't know what I don't like about him. But you know what? I'm going to refute him. This is what happened. He said, وَأَصَبِيَّ. Then he started having this cliquish thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You think like me, we're together. Brothers and sisters, I'm not placing no rulings on nobody. That's not my job. But just think about these qualities. Who do you see these qualities with? When you look at these qualities, who do you see? Most of the refutations that you see coming from brothers, do it be legitimate? Do it even seem sincere? Do it seem sincere?
Yep. And they have asabiya, man. They done isolated themselves. People have isolated themselves on the avenue. where they won't work with anybody, just amongst themselves. Is that Islam?
But guess what he said to Asabi is too? To a ra'i, to an opinion.
Yep.
He got a ra'asati to opinion or a madhab. And a madhab don't have to be just a madhab that we know of.
Exactly.
Madhab,
one they came up with.
One they came up with, like when they said Sheikh Rabi is a minhaj in himself. He's a perfect minhaj. And whoever doesn't what? Whoever goes against him
is not Salafi.
It's not Salafi. The Sheikh can free himself from that. This is the individuals have mentioned. And you always hear him here kalam like this. Why would you listen to all the scholars that praised him? Why wouldn't you? This is your elder. Why are you pushing me to one scholar? Tell me, why are you pushing me to one scholar? We love all our scholars. Why just push me to one scholar? He said it himself. We love all our scholars. Why push me to one scholar? What is your agenda?
It's a control mechanism.
And then you turn around and push me towards the same scholar. You ain't even taking his advice. Somali, you was there when they took 3 years. Al Hadith have you sit in front of the sheikh and they told you to take it down. The sheikh told you and he let you know right there in front of your face. And all the brothers that were sitting in that meeting, Abu Jamaiki, Abu Yusuf Khalifa, all of you to what? Swash the beef. Take down what you had on the internet. You didn't stop. There you go right there. Brothers and sisters, well, leave Somali alone. Y'all just keep coming at Somali. Y'all want them to get on the plane. These brothers, they personal. They seeking fame. So what characteristic do you call that? Somali ignoring the words of the sheikh. Why didn't he listen to the elder? SubhanAllah.
And Muhammad bin Hadi told him not to teach Sharh Sunnah. He didn't take that advice neither. He disregarded that advice too.
We're going to move on for not too long. We don't want to have the same long thing we did last night. We're going to move. I think it's sufficient from Abdullah Masna'i.
Yes,
he went really in though. He broke down all the details about Jahwat Ta'dil. So we're going to go on to the next sheikh, inshallah. Let's move to the next sheikh, inshallah. For sake of brevity. It's hard to say this sheikh name.
Nah.
Me and the brother were struggling saying this sheikh name. All right, this sheikh is sheikh. And may the sheikh forgive us.
Nah.
Inshallah. This sheikh Zahir or Sanakir. Hafidhahullah ta'ala fi bayani lahu lima takallama an al-fitan.
No.
All right, this is a clarification as it pertains to speaking about the fitan. And it was a short, brief answer. He said, "Rari indeed from the min aqtarha, from the perilous or from its dangers, and from the thing that is most severe upon the Salafiyin in this era or in these days, ma ya'rifu bil fitna tabdi' wa tajri', is the fitna of declaring someone to be an innovator and to getting in the fitna of Jahwat Ta'dil." What does this statement resemble, brothers and sisters? Think about last night. Let's remember Sheikh Wasabi words.
Sheikh Wasabi.
That he said it was a what? He said it was
a shaitan.
Yep, it was a Makdiya Shaitaniya. That's what this resembles here.
It's a Makida. It's a Makida Shaitaniya.
It's a Makida. It's a satanic plot. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Since the brothers have got their nose wet with a little terminologies and running around applying them to everybody, to the people of Ahl Sunnah, right? Not to the people of Bid'ah. They're applying it to the people of Ahl Sunnah. Think about this. This is why there's a fitna. One of the gravest fitna, the Sheikh said, the most dangerous fitna that we have today is small little youth. No, he didn't say that word, but we know from all of the statements of the other scholars that this is not the scholars doing, right? This is the small people who enter this arena who don't belong in there. And if it is scholars doing it, then we let the other scholars check those scholars. Okay? طيب. He said, وَإِنْ كَانَ تَبْدِيعُ وَتَجْرِيءٍ مِنْ سَمِيمٍ مِنْهَجٍ وَالدِّينِ. Even though we know that the deen is protected, the minhaj and the deen is protected by what?
By this core principle of Jahwat Ta'dil.
Exactly. And about what? Making sure we get, we can truly snip out the innovation in the innovator. So وَلَكِنْ بِدَوَابِتِهِ وَأَحْكَامِهِ وَشُرُوطِهِ. Why did we get this? He said, however, this lofty science and these lofty rulings, they have guidelines, they have rulings, they have conditions. If I ask you right now, how many conditions are there for the prayer? You tell me 14. Alhamdulillah, we know that. You tell me if I ask you right now, how many pillars of the prayer? You say 14. How many conditions? You say what? There are about 9 conditions. Shurut. We learned that from the prayer. Alhamdulillah. But how many conditions are there for Jahwat Ta'dil? Ask Somali. Let's see if he can respond. Now go back to the library. Go try to find a book. First of all, Somali haven't even studied no hadith science. I ain't studied no hadith science. At least I know my level here. But I ain't studied no hadith science. He haven't studied any hadith science. Wallahi, this is not a lie. This is not even a taunting. This here is the truth. This is not saying I'm criticizing Somali.
We're not talking
difference.
about reading Be'Koniya or reading Mustalah Hadith.
I'm talking about what did he finish? Allahu Akbar. The Sheikh.
Because all of us done read Mustalah Hadith for Sheikh Uthaymeen. We done read Be'Koniya, Shah Sheikh Uthaymeen. All of us have read these books. We're talking about sitting in front of a scholar finishing this science.
SubhanAllah Azim. Everyone that graduated from Kuliya to Hadith, they said you got to finish about 3 books when dealing with the science of Jarh wa Ta'dil. SubhanAllah. Somali didn't finish 1. He goes on to continue. He said, وَيُحْسِنَ تَطْبِيقُهَا الرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. He said that these conditions, these rulings, and these guidelines, they are such that they are only known, right? And they are only perfected, meaning the implementation of them are only perfected by those who are well firmly grounded in knowledge. لا رعاع من الناس الذين يجهلون أساسيات العلم وأصوله.
Not the ribble-raff and the low people, the people who don't have knowledge. That's what ra'a means. Ar-ra'a, the ribble-raff, the low people, the people who don't know what they're doing. They always loud and entertaining. That's it. It's very entertaining, but at the end of the day, it's muta'alimeen.
That's what it is.
They fraud knowledge.
Training knowledge. And this is what they do to you, brothers and sisters. So when you come to them, they act, it's an error. You know you meet them, whether they commenters or whether they beginning student knowledge, they act just like this. It's an error superiority over them. How dare you can ask me that question?
Yeah.
And then they respond to you. Do you even know what that means? Do you understand the terminology? What is the conditions? They start coming at you.
Do you?
So they drill you like that, so you get intimidated, and you say, well, you know, I ain't even gonna ask the brother the question. But you know in your heart that brother don't know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. And you know that ain't the correct way to do it. But you say it to yourself, I don't know the terminologies. Don't let them beat you with that, brothers and sisters. I might don't know the technical term for that, but I'm not slow. Allah did give me faculties. He did give me a mind. He did give me heart. And he did let me see the contrast of those who are actually implementing and know this deen versus those who do not. I went to Egypt for 1 month, brothers and sisters. And before I left Egypt, these du'ats, because I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to lie, I drank the Kool-Aid. I have these du'ats, Abu Hassan Malik, Somali, Fayda Dunya Khutbah. These du'ats, they was like this. It was like a you know, one of them air balloons. It was so big. They was in the sky. What you call it? A blimp? You see how big it's in the sky? They one of them air balloons.
Yeah.
When I came back from that 1 month, seeing students over there with Bukhari in their breasts, sacrificing, sleeping on hard floors, it made me think of a statement of Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahmatullah alayh. He said that the people of knowledge have a statement. They said, if this is not your fear, then fly away. If this is not your fear, meaning seeking ilm, is not your fear, then fly away. I was over there talking about where's the amenities of America. I'm an American in Egypt. Huh? I wasn't even in the match with those people who witnessed even more atrocities. Huh? With no lights going on for months.
Looking for a
seeking ilm.
Looking for a Snicker bar.
Looking for a Snicker bar. I got sick on the way back. But brothers and sisters, guess what happened? When I came back to America, one brother said to me, I don't see you in the classes no more. I didn't even know how to respond to him because in my mind, that balloon, it was like a big pin just hit it and that just flew down. I started looking at everybody in their prospective place, not taking nothing away. I just said, you know what? I understand a little bit of Arabic. I'm going to start listening to the scholars myself.
Yeah.
I got to train and get myself better. I'm going to listen to the scholars myself because I see that the brothers, if we put them in that same scenario I just left, many of them probably would be the same place I'm at. And not even be known.
And you commoners help to break the brothers back. You help to push the brothers there because you put them on pedestal they didn't belong. That's what I'm telling you. Don't put us on pedestal. There's nobody here from amongst us who deserves to be put on a pedestal like you put Sheikh Said Ruslan on a pedestal, or Sheikh Salih Fawzan on a pedestal, or Sheikh Zayd al-Mekhli on a pedestal, or Sheikh Muqsin al-Badr on a pedestal, or Sheikh Mahmoud Ammar on a pedestal. People that have spent 30 years or more seeking knowledge and sacrificed their whole lives to seek knowledge, and then they go back and teach their people. None of us here, nobody, needs to be put on a pedestal. Just benefit from the brothers that's in front of you and know their position and their place and benefit from them.
But there are some exceptions.
There are some exceptions, yeah.
And those exceptions is the ones that you know that academically excelled. Those who truly benefit, not just from a school setting, but from the scholars that they were with. And that you can contact those scholars and ask about their character. Not about was they their attendance. Don't call a scholar and say, you know, do you know so-and-so? That's not enough for tazkiyah for me. Call the scholar and ask about their attendance, ask about their character, ask about their understanding of the things that they went over. And you're going to see that effect. You're going to see in the way that they teach and the way that they move. Have you ever noticed any of the brothers that's being attacked ever dealt in Jarh wa Ta'dil? Ask me this. Have you ever seen Muhammad Munir deal in the affairs of Jarh wa Ta'dil? Have you not seen Sheikh Tahir? Did he ever deal in the affairs of Jarh wa Ta'dil? Tell me, I just want to know why. He was going to Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari classes when they was going to Sheikh Fali al-Harabi classes. You see? Look at the difference. So just tell me, have you ever seen Ali Davis get into Jarh wa Ta'dil? Does this mean that Ali Davis don't talk about bid'ah and warn against bid'ah? Yes. If he's reading the works of the ulama, it's not an Aqeedah book that you're going to read, except that it's going to refute the aqa'id of those people who have deviated. It's not one book that exists from the people of the Salaf and who are here to the Salaf, except that their books are filled with refutation against those who went against the Aqeedah.
So if Ali Davis is teaching books of the Sunnah, that in default, he's refuting bid'ah. If he's reading about kufr, and if he's reading about tawheed and teaching it, in default, he's what? Refuting shirk and kufr. So it's like one-on-one, people.
So we're going to move on to the next scholar. That's Sheikh Abu Umar Hassan al-Utaybi في مقال له مئوان نموذج من الدلالة بعد المتعالمين. Subhanallah. Look at this. بعد المتعالمين.
Those fraud knowledge.
I mean, the fraudulent ones. في باب الأسماء والأحكام. Alhamdulillah, the Sheikh respond. And so salatu salam ala Rasulullah. You want to ride with this, inshallah?
Yeah.
Tight.
And the Sheikh, he says that it has not ceased in this time and other times, na'ani min tasdar juhal wa sufahat, that it has come from the people who are ignorant and the foolish ones, and their accusations against the ulama and the talabu ilm bil-jahl wa su'u fahm, that the students of knowledge and the ulama are ignorant and have a misunderstanding of things. ومن أواخر ما سمعت أن بعد ما يدعى سلفية يريد أن يكون حق تبديع لكل أحد دون قصر على الأهل الأم. He said, what I've heard lately is that some of those who claim Salafiyya, they want tabdi' to be the right of everyone without returning back to their ulama.
Look at that. Why do you need to call the scholars? I can refute everybody according to what Somali said. I don't need to call the scholars for that. I'm gonna refute everybody. You can refute somebody. If it's a lady and her child, you can refute so and so. Why? Because man ra'aka minkum munkaran, whoever see an evil. But he didn't tell you what the scholar said about the hadith.
No.
He didn't tell you about the basic understanding of the hadith. The hadith is connected to what? Sulta. It's connected to authority. You have to have authority. It's connected to ilm. Because now when you command the good, forbidden the evil, there are conditions. There are shurut. There are conditions. And there's also what? A level of knowledge that you must have. A level of forbearance that you must have. A level of patience that you must have.
Exactly.
So no one can just start refuting.
Nope.
And we stick by our word. Somali, Abu Khadija, Salafi Publications, and all of their coho, you're not qualified to do what? Refute.
And to put new rulings on people and on masjids and people and particular groups of people. You're not allowed to do that.
We got over 10 scholars saying that you're not. 10 scholars.
So he goes, he says, فَيُرِيدُونَ فَتْحَ الْمَجَالِ أَمَامِ الْجُحَالِ وَسَقَطِ وَأَغْبِيَاءِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْرِفُونَ ضَوَابِطُ التَّبْدِيعِ وَتَفْسِيقِ. He said they intend to open up this conversation in front of the ignorant, the conditions of Jarh wa Tabdi' wa Tafsiq. They don't know what are the conditions. How do you do it? How do you make somebody innovator? How is somebody, when somebody sins, do they become a sinner? Tafsiq wa takfir. They open. And think about this. The sheikh is hitting on the nose. Do they not use the minbar to make tabdi'? Do they not use? The brother got on the minbar and said, "Masjid for the Khan is a masjid of innovation," in front of the common people. Well, he doesn't have that right. They opening this argument up. This is why you'll have commenters say, "Oh, Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah is a place of innovation. We can't pray behind it, brother." We get that ruling from. They're placing hukum.
When Ibn Ahmed said that the one who prays behind, the one who repeats his prayer behind a ruler that he deems for something to be an innovator, and he goes back and repeats his prayer, he's the innovator. Pay attention. When scholars and mountains already said that you can pray what? Behind an innovator. It said you can pray behind an innovator. And I want to address this real quick, brothers and sisters, for moving on. No one from amongst us right now understand that we're saying, or not us, you cannot refute innovation.
Yep.
I hope that we cannot refute innovation. What are the scholars are talking about here? They're talking about a lofty science called Jarh wa Ta'dil. They're talking about placing rulings on individuals. So no one should walk away from here in this video saying, yeah, the brothers are saying you can't refute bid'ah. We already said Sheikh Rabia made that clear about the people of classification, the first group that's already Ahlul Bid'ah. That's already clear. So no one should be running. Yeah, the people of Kufr. No one should be saying, yeah, the brothers are saying you can't refute.
That's not true, because we refute the Ahmadiyya movement on Broad and Glenwood all the time. We refute the churches, the synagogues, 45th and Walnut. We speak about all of the innovation and we in our masjids on our minbars. We speak about
so nobody should say we saying that.
No, we're not saying that. We're saying placing new rulings on people, groups, and places. We don't have that right. So the Sheikh, he continues. He says, فآتوا إلى الباب هو من أعظم الواب وأخطرها فاستهانوا به وراه أنفسهم أنهم من فرسانه. And the Sheikh, he says, so they come to this great science, this great chapter, which is very dangerous. He said, but they belittle it. How do they belittle it? When they see themselves as the knights and defenders of it.
They champion the cause. You ever hear the argument? Since when you don't know that Salafi publication, like the brother said, rahimahullah, over 10 years, Salafi publication, refuting, like Bilal Davis have said, where you don't see where were you at when we was addressing the issues? When we refuted so-and-so. Yeah, when you refuted so-and-so, right? Not when the ulama refuted so-and-so. When you refuted so-and-so. Like I said, brothers and sisters, we're coming to find out throughout these last couple of weeks, or these months, or these 2 or 3 months since this night show been going on, night shift, and many of you probably already was aware of this, we're coming to find out that what? That these particular brothers, they are doing what? That their refutations have not been overlooked by any scholar, and it is emanating from themselves, and that means we have to question it. That's right, question it. You know what I mean? It makes statements like, I guess y'all all wanted to be a melting pot. Me and Issa, we wanted to be one big melting pot. That's the statements they make. I guess everybody can get together now. Jew could be with you. You could be this. Come on, don't be so naive. That's not what we're saying. We want you to stop saying stuff about the people who are striving and adhere to Ahlul Sunnah. That's what we want you to do, and stop applying it on them. Go learn some deen. Start with the Quran first.
Well, there's another statement that talks about Hajj might be read that.
Yeah. Right. Tayyip. So we're going to go past that, and we're going to mention another statement. Was Utaybi the last?
Yeah, he was the last one.
Okay. And he mentioned some nice statements that's lofty. Look at this here. He said, وقال في الله في أحد أشراطه جوابا عن سؤال عن مسألة حكم على معين. He said, and he Hafidhullah, meaning Sheikh Utaybi, he said in one of his cassettes as an answer to a question dealing with the issue of ruling on a specific individual. On a specific individual. Look what he said here, brothers and sisters. And this is what we all been saying. On a specific individual. When you place a ruling on Muhammad Munir, that's specific. When you place a rule on Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, that's specific. When you place a ruling on Shadeed Muhammad, that's specific. This is not general. Okay, specific. Now, he said, لا يجوز لطالب العلم مبتدئ أن يتصدر ويحكم على الناس بالتبديع والتفسيق فحب الظهور يقسم الظهور. And they love to use this word for us.
No.
This statement here, huh? We love to be known. They're the one making the videos. They want to be known.
Yeah.
The riff-raffers, the YouTube fame seekers, right?
They call us al-Ra'a.
They love to be known. No, they actually call us the Ruwaybida.
Al-Ruwaybida. They put a hook'em on us too.
Yeah, they put a hook'em on us. Look what he said here. He said it's not permissible for the beginning student of knowledge. It is not permissible for the beginning student of knowledge to place rulings on people and declare them to be innovators or to even be a fasiq. By doing this, they're doing what? فَحِبُّ الظُّهُورِ وَيُقَسِمُ الظُّهُورِ. They're doing what? What are they doing here?
Elevating themselves.
That's what they're doing. وطالب العلم لابد أن يعرف قدر النفس. The student of knowledge, it is a must that he knows his level. So now let's weigh my level. Nafis is a mutarjim, is a translator. By the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah allowed me to be able to grasp a large portion of the Quran, memorize the Quran. However, I'm not a hafiz that's tamam. I'm not mahir in the Quran. And I admit that. Inshallah ta'ala, it's going to take years to become mahir. Meaning, brothers and sisters, to become proficient, whereas all of the surahs are like the Fatiha. But this is something that Allah blessed me with. Alhamdulillah. It's not to brag, it's not to show, just what Allah blessed you with. No. Alhamdulillah, I know a little bit of Arabic. I memorized some mutuns. I listened to some shuruhat, some different explanations of the scholars explain those mutuns. But I can't place rulings.
No.
I can't go around, refuting so-and-so and so-and-so. I can't do such and such. That's my level. Okay? Now let's look at Somali level. Somali been to Yemen. I'll say this again. Somali been to Yemen. No more, let's say, no more than a 2-year radius to the less of 6 months. Let's just say that. Let's just try to be fair. 2-year radius, less of 6 months. 2 years is the what type of program, brothers and sisters? It's the Arabic program. I want you to know that. So it takes you about a year, all right, to get the Arabic in the Mej. They get the Arabic from those who went. It takes you about 6 months to a year, unless you already had Arabic before you got there. So now you're spending your time doing beginner stuff, all right? And now for those who know that Somali was over there, they know that he spent most of his time away from the American students. He was in the house and so forth, right? So now let's go back. Where else did Somali study at? So they said he'd been in Egypt. We don't know how firm that was. What did he cover in Egypt? What scholars did he have in Egypt? All right, since we don't know, let's hold that to the side. Let's weigh again. Somali. That's the end of your studies. That's the end of Somali studies. What science did he finish? So now, in the words of the Sheikh, when you refute, like you said on your clip, and like you're doing with your cohorts, Salafi publication, when you made these refutations, were you not the one doing hupul dhuhur? Your custom was what? Were you not doing that? And we answered these questions multiple times. I already mentioned to you where I studied at just now. There's no need to ask that question. And our beloved brother Isa, alhamdulillah, 8 years. He spent this time over there with 2 mashaykhs. Hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, those 2 mashaykhs also, after Hajj, we will have a chance to get them on a night shift. They agreed to come on the night shift. So you can ask those questions of Sheikh Mufti Amr, Sheikh Mahmoud Mufti Amr, who was an actual student of Sheikh Rabia, not the one who visited Sheikh Rabia and kissed him on his forehead. No, he studied with Sheikh Rabia. And anyway, just to get back to what we're saying, that's already been answered. And not to be arrogant or nothing. But we're not the ones that's running around here placing rulings.
No.
So
we still believe we're just small students trying, like I said, listen to shurur, reading books, trying to finish the book that we started, call when we don't understand something, send messages to scholars, they reply back to us, we take notes. We're just trying to learn. But we don't put ourselves in the arena of Jahwa Ta'dil. We don't do that. Because we don't have the necessary equipment or knowledge to even put ourselves in that field.
He said, وَحُكْمَ عَلَى النَّاسِ مِنْ أَصْعَبِ الْأُمُورِ لِأَنَّهَا يَشْتَرِطَ لَهُ شُرُوطَ عَدِيدَ وَأَهَمِّهَا. Look what he said here. He said, placing rulings upon people is from the most difficult affairs because it has been stipulated for it many conditions. Okay? And from the importance of them, number 1, you must be an alim. بِأَسْبَابُ الْجَهْرِ. You must be knowledgeable about the reasons for the criticism. وَلَوْ تَعَمِّلْتُمْ فِي كُتُبِ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ سواء كان فيما يتعلق الجهر والتعديل والرواة من حيث الضبط أو من حيث العدالة ومن ذلك كلام في التبديع نجد أن كتب أهل العلم إنما حفظت لنا كلام أهل العلم كلام علماء لم يحفظوا لنا كلام مجاهيل والصغار طلب علم إنما حفظوا لنا كلام علماء فيكون طالب يتصدر ويصبح مجرحا ومعدلا فهذا دليل على أنه مخذول. Look at he said مخذول وعلى أنه جاهل وعلى أنه قد سلك واديا وطريقا من أودية وطرق أهل البدع وعجيب أن إخواننا أصلحنا الله وإياهم لقلة علمهم يسلكون في مسلك أهل البدع وهم لا يشعرون أحدهم يريد أن يكون سلفيا قحا كما يقال حتى النخاع وللأسف الشديد يكون في الحقيقة مبتدعا حتى النقاع وهذا هو الواقع للأسف الشديد وما ابتلينا في هذا الزمان بالحدادية إلا بمثل هذا الأسلوب شنيع أسلوب السفهاء وفي الحقيقة هذا هو مذهب خوارج ودينهم. الله أكبر. And this is the statement. Allahu Akbar. I'm sorry to get passionate about this because this is the last scholar. This is the last scholar right here.
Look, Bussa the Kalamihi. I had to speak Amir right there. Bussa the Kalamihi. Bussa the Kalamihi.
Can you do the honors for us? Do the honors for us, inshallah. Somali, listen up, Somali.
He says that first you have to be an alim and you know the reasons for the jar. And anybody who looks at the books or really ponders and understands and take a real deep look, scientific look into the books of the people of knowledge, right? Whether it's dealing with jar wa ta'dil or the men in the isnad, like their memorization, their religion, their justice, who are they? He said this speech of tabdi' we find in their books of the people of knowledge that's reserved for us, Ahlul Kalam Ulama. He said, and it not has been, he said, their speech has been reserved for us, but the speech of the low and the ignorant and the small time people have not. In the Mahabidulana Kalam Ulama, فَكَوْنَ طَالَبُ يَسْتَرُ وَيَسْبَهُ مُجْرِحًا وَمُعْدِلًا فَهَذَا دَلِيلٌ عَلَى أَنَّهُ مَخْضُوع. He said, SubhanAllah.
Look at this stuff.
So the student of knowledge that this issue comes from, and he gets into these affairs and things like that, we find that he's become what? That he becomes deceived. Makhdu in his affair. Ala annahu jahil, because he's ignorant.
Become humiliated.
And disgraced. Why? Annahu qad salaka wadiyan tariqa min awdiya tariqa ahl al-bid'ah, because he started going by the path and walking in the valleys from the valley of the valleys of what? Of the people of innovation. Right? Ajib, and the ikhwanina aslahna Allah iyahum. He said it's very strange that our brothers may correct their affairs.
And ours.
He said, وَقِلَّةَ عِلْمِهِمْ فَيَسْلِكُونَ فِي مَسَالِكِ أَهْلِ الْبِدْعَةِ. With the small amount of knowledge that they possess, that they end up transversing the path of the people of bid'ah, and they don't know. And one of them, yurid and yakunu salafiyan quh. They tend to be from people who are Salafi upon serious Salafis, without a shadow of a doubt, right? كما يقال حتى نقع للأسف شديد and يكون في حقيقة مبتدئا. He said, but we know when we see, he said, and we're very sorry for this, and it's very heartening and heartbreaking that this individual, with all of that, he becomes a person of innovation. Why does he become a person of innovation? He said because he falls into a trial that's in our days. The Sheikh is basically saying, as these individuals, these young people, right? Let's just clear it up, right? Because, we're trying to translate that with the Sheikh words, but I'm going to give you what he's saying. He's saying that the youth and the people who have less knowledge, who are not fit for this science, as they go into this science, they end up being Salafi, right? But then they end up leaving Salafiyah and going and following the path of the people of innovation. And they fall into this innovation. And he said, and from the things that we see as a trial and a tribulation upon the youth today and this time is Haddadiyah. Because they don't know the science of Jarh wa Ta'dil, so eventually they become Haddadi. If you make a mistake, you out of it. You say this, you out of it. You say that, you out of it. You're a Muqtadi, you off it. He's a deviant, he's not clear. All of this is from Haddadiyah because they don't know the conditions of Jarh wa Ta'dil. They don't know the conditions, and they fall into extremism and placing rulings on people where they don't have the right to. And he said, we see this evil, filthy, disgusting, foolish characteristic and way that they go about handling themselves when they deal with the issue of Jarh wa Ta'dil. He said, in reality, this is the way of the Khawarij and their religion.
So they have a predecessor. And in reality, the Haddadiyah, okay, they have a predecessor. Guess who the predecessors are? The Khawarij.
The Khawarij.
That's who their predecessors. Brothers and sisters, last but not least, we're not going to be long. Let you go home, get ready for the Eid. I want to ask you a question. Weigh Somali words, his response in that 30-minute clips against these 10 scholars. And I want you to ask me, who do you believe? Who do you believe? Do you believe these 10 scholars? Or do you believe Somali words? Who you believe? Do you believe right now, brothers and sisters, that Somali is qualified, again, like we said before, to do Jarh wa Ta'dil, to refute, to place rulings on somebody? Do you believe that Somali is that? Or do you believe the scholars?
And at the end of the day, we're going to ask to say again, at this lecture, you people should write, you should take these, we're going to put these questions. The innovation of these brothers they call innovators, from Akil Ingram, Abdul Bari, Muhammad Munir, Tahir Wyatt, Shadid Muhammad, to the end of them, right? To the end of all these brothers that we named in these questions. We want to know what's the innovation according to Kitab wa Sunnah Ijma', not no ikhtilaf stuff, not those stuff that scholars differ over, not those no fiqh issues, usul, foundational issues. That's number one. Then we want to know what happened to the agreement. If the agreement was resolved, give us the proof that the agreement was resolved. That Muhammad bin Hadi resolved y'all of that agreement. We need proof for that. So we need all these questions answered right now. And don't skip around them. Barakallahu feek.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاك الله خير